Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to the panel, and I think it's the minister that generated the size of the audience. So thank you, Minister, for being here, and nice to see you again. I'm going to take it from what the minister said about innovation, where he said it's a mindset. A different way of looking at it, similar result, is what the Chancellor of Ryerson said, is Lawrence Bloomberg. He said, anyone who looks at the status quo and feels empowered to improve upon it, whether for economic or social good, is an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I think is critically important is early in education, not waiting until you get into university when you're in grade 3 or grade 4, grade 5. The idea that you are empowering young people to see the world and make it better and create that mindset is critically important, because if it was a useful thing to have 10 years ago, it's going to be the life of our economy and our social fabric in the years to come. So one of the first things I would say is that the idea that you're an entrepreneur, or better put, that you see the status quo and feel empowered, should be part of the educational system at their earliest years. The second comment I'll make is, and I have to give it attributed to Roger Martin, who was saying it quite a long time ago, and I didn't see it for a very, very long time. And Roger said, you have to not confuse invention with innovation. And on the invention side, which you could call the inquiry-based research, it's critically important, and it should always be supported. But to believe that the individuals that are doing inquiry-based research ultimately are your entrepreneurs and innovators and your marketing and the president of the corporation is missing the point. The innovation agenda is about recognizing a market or a need and recognizing products that might come from the pure research or might be sitting on the shelf and adapting those projects to the marketplace. And when we put the two together, we miss fundamentally that the innovation is unlocked with entrepreneurship. Without entrepreneurship, you don't have innovation. And so the view I had, and it's now being shared, and a lot of credit to the University of Waterloo and Communitech, was the importance of young people seeing their academic career as more than just sitting in the classroom. And from that came the idea that, in fact, while you're in the university or the college, it's the greatest time to start a company and to put around the young people the necessary elements for their success, whether it is mentors, whether it's seed funding. And so I think we, as a province and perhaps a country, I don't think we're second to anyone now in the ability to start young companies. And I think in some ways we're ahead of most, where everyone is saying the same thing. It is the scaling up of our companies. And I will leave it with 3 ideas on scaling up. One of them is what the minister said, and that is that all of us have to be startup friendly. If we are not willing to take on the risk of the products of young entrepreneurs, then who else will be? And this isn't only government, this is corporations, that you're going to have to look at young entrepreneurs and recognize that they're not able to have the insurance, the track record, or fill out RFPs of 300 pages. So you've got to be startup friendly. And for governments to set a portion of their procurement, 5%, that is dedicated to young companies, I think is a great start. But I wouldn't leave it as a government responsibility alone. The number 2 thing, I think, when it comes to scaling up, is that there's going to be a certain level under which the IP barrier is real. It is probably somewhere between a company of 100 to 200, where you're going to be stopped on your tracks because someone's going to challenge your IP. Do you have ownership of it? And we have to become much, much more IP smart. and much, much more in tune with the necessity of having IP as literally a commercial product under which we could go to battle for scaling up companies. And a third part of the scaling up is to put in place a mechanism that provides the ease under which good companies can secure venture capital. I've seen too many young entrepreneurs spend 2 years trying to get A funding levels, and during those 2 years, they're abandoning their responsibility as being the researchers, and by the time they secure it, they are passed by another company, or, as too often the case, the Series A isn't in Canada. So I would say if you try to move on those 3 things, I think you would make great improvement. I think the silent one that we don't talk about enough is intellectual property, and being really, really smart, because you're not going to get to 4,000 without a deliberate strategy on intellectual property.
Thanks very much. I think that was music to the ears of some of the people in the audience. I think the very novelist here who leads the Angel Corporation for Canada, and you are talking about this all the time. So did you